In this video, I'm going to be going through my trading results from 2020 until 2025 on this public portfolio that I've had running and updated every few months on my channel. I'm going to be going through all different time frames of this trading account, the goods, the bads, the drawdowns, the winning streaks, and much, much more. My goal for doing this is that if you spend time watching my videos, I want to make sure that you know you're not wasting your time watching somebody who doesn't actually trade or is not actually a consistently profitable trader. So without further ado, let's jump in. Today's video is sponsored by Weebull, which was an easy call because of course I'm using it in the video. I've used Weebull for years and I want to tell you about a couple things that they offer. So Weebull offers one of the best trading platforms that I've seen in the retail trading space. Additionally, as you can see in this video, they offer some really cool analytical tools to explore your own trading stats, which can also help you to refine what you're doing in the markets. Weebull offers a wide range of different markets, including stocks, options, ETFs, and of course, futures now. They also offer traditional and Roth IRAs and have some very generous bonuses available when you sign up. To find out more about Weebull and see if it's right for you, I encourage you to check out the link in the description down below. And for my own trading, Weebull has been perfect because it offers a really great charting platform, which allows me to do all the research and analysis that I need to do for stocks, ETFs, etc. in one place. So like I said, explore the offer down below if you're interested in checking out Weebull further. So first I'm going to show you the different timeframes offered here by Weebull. So before I jump into those stats, I'll just refresh the P&L here, and I will also log out and log back in to this account here. So you can see that it is an interactive platform that I'm on and not some sort of Photoshop thing. I also pull this up on my live streams pretty frequently, so it's real. And I know there's always people who are concerned about things being faked on the internet, which is totally valid, but that's the most I know how to do to show you that this is a real account. So now what I'll do is I'll walk through the different time frames that Weebull offers to take a look at the performance of the account over a 5-day, 1 month, 3 month, etc. So first you can see the account is up 3.6% in the last 5 days. When we take a look at the 1 month range, it's up just shy of 8% at 7.92%. 3 month range is 13.38%. The 6 month return on this account is 13.16%. And if we take a look at the year to date return here in 2025, as of today, which is May 29th when I'm recording this, we are looking at a just shy of 14% return on the year so far. If we take a look at the 1 year, we can see a 22% return on investment here on this account. And if we take a look at the all-time return, the account is up 249.5%. And so what I also wanted to do is compare my trading results, which we just said were 249.5%. And I also wanted to compare that to a passive return if I were to just have put my money into the S&P 500 during that same time since creating the account in 2020. So if I take this return here, had I just put it all in the S&P 500, the return would have been, as we can see, 148.8% return. So those are the comparable numbers. And the reason I do this is because as an active trader, my personal goal is to be able to beat the passive benchmark over the long term, which I have been able to with a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, beat the average return of the passive index over the last 5 years. In fact, I'm beating it by about 100%, which compounded over time can produce significantly more money than just holding it in a passive index fund. However, like I said, a lot of work has gone into producing that type of return above the S&P 500. And I'm also aware that for some, this may not be impressive. You may think that I should be making way more than that in terms of a percentage basis. But for me personally, I'm at a point where I'm mostly focused on keeping a steady growth to my account with minimizing possible drawdowns rather than focusing on aggressive, massive growth. I do have a good bit of capital at this point in my trading career and in my life, and so I'm looking to slow and steadily continue to grow this from here. While I acknowledge there are definitely traders out there who are producing bigger returns than me, I'm very happy with where I'm at. This is very much in line with my own risk tolerance, and I think it is something that is sustainable with a lot of effort. So the next thing we'll do here is we can take a look at the calendar view going month by month since the inception of this trading account. So at the time of recording this, I'm having a pretty good 2025, even though the markets themselves are actually flat on the year. You can see, for example, when we take a look at the S&P 500 at the time of recording this, the S&P is pretty much flat. So going month by month, walking backwards, in May, I'm up about 8.66%. In April, it's about 4.5%. In March of 2025, up about 0.8. In February, I was down just shy of 4%. And in January, I was up 5%. Now, I should also note that 2025 is above my usual average return, which I'm usually shooting for somewhere around 2% average monthly returns, which I believe to be a lot more sustainable. But even with a 2% monthly target, you're going to have months where you're up 6, 7, 8%. You're also going to have months where you're down 5, 6, 7%. It's all about an average return, which is much easier said than done to produce something like 2% per month. In fact, oftentimes I do get criticized on, going for something like 2%, which people consider very low rates of return when they are not yet profitable themselves and have not gone through the difficulty of becoming profitable. Once you actually kind of reach that level of consistency in your trading, 2% is actually a great return per month that compounded can make you incredibly wealthy. And something that has stuck with me over the years is a mentor in my life who I asked about trading, who has a lot of experience in markets. I asked a simple question when I first got started. I said, what's a good rate of return for an active trader? And they laughed in response, which I initially felt offended by. And they said, if you make anything over $0 a year in day trading or swing trading or whatever, you are doing phenomenally better than the average person who gets involved. And of all the people that I've interviewed on my channel who are professional money managers, proven verified traders, 2 to 5% seems to be the magic range of return for these traders. 5% being the upper echelon of people who are willing to take more risk and who are exceptionally good at this. Let's now take a look at the year 2024. So in 2024, I had a really great year. In terms of P&L, it was my best year of my career, at least so far in 2025. We might be on pace to beat it depending on what happens. But in December, I was about flat. On November, I was up about 4%. In October, I was up 4%. September down 2.4. August down 0.7. In July, I was flat. And if you're wondering why the returns are here, it's a little bit of a confusing way, the way the calendar calculates P&L. But I'll show you this really quick. So you can pause the video if you'd like to read the way Weebull contributes this. None of these returns are from deposits, but there is a difference between money weighted and time weighted returns. But the one that I go off of is just the main kind of P&L that we see right here. And the calendar view can be a little bit confusing because again, 0.03%, yet the account was up $26,000 on that month is a bit confusing. Anyways, carrying on, you can see here's our June return, May return, April return, all kind of a good streak the first half of the year. I did not have a losing month in the first half. In the second half, I had 3. Here's 2023, which was also a really good year for me. In 2023, I was long a lot of tech stocks, although I was early to the party and went in through some drawdown during this August, September, and October range. And here's a tough year for me. So I promised to show you the goods and the bad on this account. In 2022, I went through a really rocky year. I was on the wrong side of many different gold trades, and I was also on the wrong side of a lot of tech stock trades that I was taking. So in this year, you can see I had a down December, 6%. In November, I was about flat. In October, I was up 4%. September and August were both red. July, I had a huge bounce back month. However, like I said, this overall year was really tough and actually was a negative year for me in my account, which is crazy to think about because this was after I had already become a profitable trader. And to go through a losing year after becoming a profitable trader is a very humbling experience. I did this publicly on YouTube and it really was a tough psychological year for me. I was actually getting married that year, and a little side story. During this time, I was going through a lot of stress in my own kind of my trading and business, and freshly married and all these things going on. And I actually made the decision in 2022 to significantly reduce my position size from my trading going forward. So starting in like 2023, I reduced my position size. So you'll notice that a lot of my returns here started to quiet down, right? So there weren't these ginormous swings, and you'll see them even more when we get into 2021. Look at these swings in the account, right? The swings were much more violent when we get into 20. You'll see 2020 in a second. That was an absolutely crazy year for me, and by far my best percentage return ever. If we take a look at this, October, we have, 17%. You're talking about down 5% months. Those were not super big, but my point was showing you that is that in 2022, my sizing was too big. It was not, at jeopardy of blowing the account or anything close to it, but it was still a very psychologically challenging year. And running a business, I run a software business for those that are not familiar with my channel very well. I build tools for traders. My background's in software engineering, and I run a company that builds all sorts of different tools and automations for traders to scan economic data and things like that. But anyways, the stress of running that business, the stress of getting married, not that that's a stressful thing, it's a great thing, but weddings are a lot of work. And so I was going through all that. And that's not the reason for the P&L being down, by the way. That's not in any way an excuse for why I had a negative year. I'm just telling you that the psychological, kind of challenges of going through this year while also doing all those things were a lot. Not to mention, as a YouTube creator in the trading space, I share publicly this stuff, and it's very difficult to go through steep drawdowns and receive the wave of criticisms that I was getting while sticking to my strategy. By the way, I didn't change anything in 2023. Same strategy, same game plan. The markets just finally came out of kind of the funk that they were in 2022, and I was able to really capitalize. So again, I wouldn't say, 2022, I just was in a bad headspace and that's why I was making bad trades. There's no excuse for why this happened. In fact, I traded my system correctly. My size was just a little bit too big, and I decided to scale down in 2023. So in 2021, you can see it was a pretty good year for me. And in 2020, which is when the account started, March of 2020 was the first month, you could see the returns on this year were absolutely insane. So in terms of deposits, which I know is a common question about this, so the return over here does not include any sort of deposits, right? So the return that you see on the account is not impacted by deposits. However, throughout the duration of this account, I have made several deposits. Like I said, I have other things that I do. I'm doing YouTube. I do consulting work for different brokerages. I do a lot of different things that are kind of my day job, quote unquote. And I use that to fund and add to my trading account on a regular basis, as I think probably most people should consider. Just like if you were to passively invest or invest more money, I do add more capital to my various trading accounts. This is not my only trading account, but it's the main one that I've made public. So with that said, in 2020, I deposited $50,000 to this account and have done so pretty consistently since, every once in a while. So the account, in terms of its capital, has risen over time. I typically look to add more capital to the account in years or times where the market is down, because that kind of favors my trading strategy a little bit more. I do also do some options trading. In terms of what I do in this trading account, I'll talk about that briefly here now. So in terms of what I trade a lot of different things all in this account. So for example, I'm trading things like gold through the ETF GLD, but this is a stock brokerage. So I'm trading stocks, options, and ETFs primarily in this account, which allows me to trade a little bit of everything. So I trade things like, for example, Tesla. You can see I also trade gold a lot. I trade the S&P 500. I trade the other S&P 500 VOO, the ETF. I trade IBIT, right, which is a Bitcoin ETF. I trade the Russell. I trade certain sector ETFs. I trade individual stocks, and I do quite a bit of options trading as well. And in terms of the main trading strategy that I employ in this trading account, I'll leave a link in the description or a card in the top right hand of the screen where you can take a look at my full trading strategy in its full context. I am primarily a swing trader, and the main reason, like I said earlier in this video, for me doing this video is for a couple reasons. But the main one is to offer some level of transparency in an industry where I think there lacks a lot of that. A lot of traders do not show any sort of proven results, verified results of what they're doing. And in my opinion, on behalf of my audience, which I greatly respect and appreciate having the opportunity to create videos for people who like my stuff all over the world. It's an incredibly, I'm very honored to be in that role. And in that role, I believe it is very important to show those people who take time out of their day to watch my content, to, interact with what I'm doing here, to show them that what I actually do in the markets has worked very well for me on a real live brokerage account. I'm not just making fancy YouTube videos, I'm actually showing you what I'm doing in the markets and have proven results to show for it. My goal for traders watching this is to consider this is what a real, P&L looks like, the real results that a trader that has been doing this for almost 10 years, 10 years at this point, what they're able to return on a consistent basis, what is realistic for someone of that, level. I've dedicated, this is my main thing that I do, right? This is my career. This is not a side income. This is not a side hustle. This is like my main thing that I do day in and day out. So I wanted to show that for an example to traders, and also, like I said, show some verifiable results just to let people who watch my content rest easy that they're not wasting their time watching somebody who is just faking everything. There's plenty of that on social media, and I encourage you, whoever you watch, make sure that they too are showing some sort of long form trading results, not in the form of prop firm payouts, but in actual brokerages that are regulated, showing long-term trading results. It's very important for you to know that you're not learning from someone who's just sounding smart and is actually doing what they say they do. Like I said, if you'd like to review my full trading strategy, we'll leave a link in the description down below. I hope that video was helpful to you, and I also wanted to make sure to share our Telegram channel with you. Every day we are posting up chart markups and analysis and in-depth breakdowns of what's going on both fundamentally and technically in the markets. We also drop bonus videos in the Telegram channel, so don't miss out. Come join our Telegram channel. The link is in the description down below. Have a great rest of your day.